enough of that. It's time to talk about how do you actually achieve impossible? Because if you know me, I set impossible goals. Not impossible, but I set goals that are very big, very ambitious, and so this book
Moonshots.
resonates a lot with me. But even then, like I think the way he framed this was like, when we're talking about doing impossible, it doesn't have to be where you don't have to be Einstein, you don't have to be
Yeah.
Jordan. Like what he just means is like, what did you consider to be impossible for yourself?
Right.
Which you give an example. Yeah, you remember the example he gave?
I forget what it was like. There's capital I impossible and there's lowercase I impossible. So lowercase being like personal impossible, and that like maybe like a lowercase I impossible is like me going to the NBA. Like that seems impossible for me, right?
Yeah.
Although I could technically, I've given up on that my hooping dreams, but it's something that someone else has already done, but seems impossible for me. That's a lowercase I impossible. A capital I impossible is like, it's like like flying to Mars
Right.
or something, or it's
And
like
it's
getting
like-
human like something.
Or figuring out how to solve world hunger.
Yeah, it's like a it's literally never been done before. That's capital I impossible. So lowercase I impossible is like you don't think that you could do it, but someone else has done it.
And it doesn't have to be like in the lowercase I as well. It could be something as small like, oh, you think that you could never be give a speech or something.
Yeah, no, it
And
can
then-
be anything.
And then you work like all of this can be it applies to at any scale.
Yeah.
Whether it's as small as you just not thinking that you can be a good runner for your IM or whatever, into you thinking like, oh, you want to make the NBA. But
Right.
number one, when you first want to do the impossible, the first thing you need to get right is your motivation, your drive. And I like the way he says he says drive because it's like it's really like when you want to do something that hard or you want to do something that seems impossible to you,
You're driven.
you're gonna have to be driven. There's no other way. But give us a quick run. What are I guess the different parts of drive?
Yeah, so the core components of drive are there's 5 of them. They are curiosity, passion, purpose, autonomy, and mastery. Okay, and I'll say the most important two, at least in my opinion, are passion and purpose. But let's go over them like real quick. So
One by
curiosity, I don't feel like I have to explain this like too much, but obviously I'll give it a sentence or two. It's just like your interest in fill in the blank, right? So if you're interested in basketball, then you have curiosity about basketball. That's
But I think something, and you guys should 100% read this book, but one to help with curiosity, what he said to do was write a list of 25, if you can get to 25, but write as many things that you're curious about and be specific about what those things you're curious about is.
right.
So it's just like, not just say basketball. For me, when I was writing, I was like, okay, I'm interested in basketball, but I'm curious about the arts of shooting and like becoming a better shooter, right?
Yeah.
And so like be specific about those type of things when it comes to curiosity. Now, passion. What is passion?
Passion is just the long-term manifestation of curiosity. So once you've been curious about something and you've done it for a long time, and you've grown like your interest in it, then you are passionate about it because you've done it and you know for sure that you like doing it and you really enjoy it. So it's like you might see the example he brought up, and I listened to a podcast with him. He kept talking about for his passion example. He brought up LeBron in the podcast and in the book, so I was like, I'll give it here. But basically, he said that like you see LeBron and you see passion, right?
Yeah.
But on the front end, what did that passion look like? Well, he was just a curious kid. He was like 6 years old shooting hoops in the driveway, and eventually that turned into ultra passion LeBron.
And I need to add to this about one. Let me tell you guys about finding passion and how he gave his advice. He said that now look through your list of curiosity, because curiosity and passion are heavily tied in, right? You can be curious about a lot of things, but you can't be passionate about everything, right? So then the way curiosity ties into passion is you look at your list of curiosity and you say, well, what are things that I'm curious about that overlap, that kind of like similar, that can be connected,
Right?
Because if you can connect a lot of your curiosities, it makes it a lot easier for you to like really follow that passion, because there's not just one specific thing, but there's I guess there's multiple faces to your passion. But I do want to say this about passion though. The one thing I heard was like the advice of follow your passion is complete bull. It's complete bull, and that's because like people will mistake passion and curiosity. People will think like, ooh, like, oh, I'm passionate about this thing, but they've only, just got into it for a week, right?
Right.
You'll really know if you're passionate about something if you put the hours into it and you still say like, yeah. And then when it gets harder, like you're like, oh, I'm into investing, right? But then someone says, I read The Intelligent Investor, and you're like, I ain't
Yeah,
trying to
you're
read
like,
no
I don't know if I
textbook.
want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very important to understand the difference between passion and curiosity. And passion, you'll really know if you're passionate about something once you start doing more and more research into it, and then you figure out like, okay, I want to continue to do this, or you might realize like this ain't for me.
For example, this podcast is an example of how we are passionate. And I don't say that lightly either. I think, I mean, for me, definitely, I spend at least 10 to 15 hours a week reading books and listening to podcasts and doing outlines and what Mel knows, and editing and whatever. And Mel does a lot of work too, but Mel has big dreams in the entrepreneurship world, so he's doing big things in that world. But it started out as a curiosity. We were just interested, and I feel like we've grown the podcast.
Yeah.
We've gotten better at talking and explaining and synthesizing and giving a good format, whatever. And so, but now I feel like we're actually passionate about doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I actually want to ask you. You have a really good example of intersecting passions. Could you kind of like just touch on your personal life of passion?
Now, when it comes to, I guess, an example would be best to kind of really understand it. And for me, so I have a lot of curiosities in terms of like, investing. And honestly, I can pull up my book right now. To
He's prepared today.
Be very clear. Be very clear. Like on my things when I was writing about curious, like the art of shooting, and when I wrote blockchain, and I wrote like how could Bitcoin become the new monetary standard? How does DeFi disrupt banking? Blah blah blah. Right, and then like becoming a great speaker, and then what makes an excellent leader? Lifestyle and nutritional choices for longevity, skincare, health, stoicism, investing. I have all those things.
And these are all curiosities, right?
Yeah, these are all curiosities. Now, my passion, if you picked up on a lot of things I'm curious about, my passion is to be a leader, which it sounds weird, but it's to be a leader in the space of like tech, right? And so, and specifically my passion is like with financial literacy and everything like that. And so the way like my background in technology, my curiosity in blockchain, that technology.
And for those who don't know, Mel's a CS major, but keep going.
Yeah, so my curiosity in technology, right, and especially blockchain, a big application is cryptocurrencies, and that has a lot of economic and social economic impacts, right? And so that also ties in that I want to start a company in that, right? So that's the whole point of like, well, how do you become a great leader, or what makes a great speaker and everything like that, and then also like my other thing in investing as well, because people view cryptocurrencies can view a lot of things as medium of exchanges, and also like people can view it as like assets where you're investing in it as well. So all those things kind of tie into the fact that my passion really is to be an entrepreneur, is to be a leader in the space of blockchain and technology. Like I really want to do that, and so that's how all those different curiosities come in. Because if I can become a great speaker, I can become a good leader. I can understand the technology better. I can understand the world of economics and finance.
Right.
Then it all ties into reaching me to this one passion of like, okay, then you can really be like what you want to be. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. But now the bigger thing, which passion, I love the way he put it. He said passion can be selfish.
I mean, it is inherently, right?
Yeah.
It's your interest in something. So like passion is defined with the word your. It has to have your in it to be passion.
And the thing is, like, why would anybody care about me becoming some CEO of some blockchain company, right?
Yeah.
Or why would anybody care about that?
Right.
No one. So that's why you need purpose. And purpose is this external factor, this external motivator, which it's a bit weird because in the book he talks about intrinsic motivators. And right now, you identifying your curiosity, passion, purpose, and all these are intrinsic things. Extrinsic. I feel like I'm
extrinsic. Yes.
It's
you
I can't even say this word. I'm gonna
good.
skip it. But are like you just want a big house, or you want the flyest car. Like those aren't great motivators. These are. But against a purpose though. For your purpose, you need something external. Like you want to do it for someone else. And can you explain purpose more?
Yeah. I mean, and purpose, the easiest, we went over this earlier, we're talking about this. Purpose is just tying your passion to something much greater than yourself, specifically being people, helping people. And I think the only way to tie your purpose to something greater than yourself is by doing something that improves the lives of others. I think that's the base way. And you can do that in so many ways, right? I mean, I would say our purpose for this podcast is to improve the lives of others by making, helping y'all live a more optimal lifestyle, but doing it through, research and presenting you ideas where you don't have to go with the facts, but we do it for you, right?
Yeah.
And so purpose is just taking your passion and giving it a bigger overall meaning and tying it to something that is just far greater than yourself, which gives you much more motivation.
And I guess an example to give quick on the purpose, like I feel like my purpose in wanting to be in that space is to help be kind of like a role model for other black people that want to get into tech to see that there is someone that's black and also can be an entrepreneur. Because you hear a lot of other great CEOs. These are great CEOs, but they're all white males, which I have nothing against. I'm not one of those people, but to say that like you need that diversity in that space, someone that proves that they can be in it to help let others know that like I can be that as well. When Barack Obama becomes president, regardless of your political leanings, it was good because it let other black students know, let other black kids know, like, oh, one day I could become president. It opens up this realm of possibility for younger people when they see someone else like them in those positions. So that's a way to view purpose. And then the final two
are autonomy and mastery. And so autonomy, I wouldn't overcomplicate this one too much, but basically what it is the freedom or the space in your life to be able to pursue what you want to pursue. Okay.
And what stops someone from being autonomous? I think autonomy itself is easy to understand, but like I think the contradiction to it will make people understand autonomy more.
Right. And the easiest thing or the best example would be if you are impoverished such that you cannot, pay bills and do other things. So you basically you're working like a full-time job and you don't have time to do what you want to do, right? Because you're just trying to put food on the table for, your family or whatever, which is very like, we're not trying to, then you are constricted, right? Because you don't have the resources or the capital or the time to do what you want to do. So we wouldn't consider you having autonomy. Or a different example would also be if you're at work and your boss tells you what to do, how to do it in every aspect, right? And you have no freedom to kind of give yourself, like you have no creative freedom in how to do what you want to do, what you're given to do, or even just like at Google, they have like the 20% thing. Mm-hmm. That's like a huge thing where like their employees are given 20% of, like one day a week to pursue ideas that they want to pursue. That is autonomy. Okay. Mm-hmm. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense too. And the thing to understand is like if you're in that position where you're just focused on trying to provide for your family, at that state you're not in autonomy, but you can reach that, right? If like that person focuses on, okay, well, I'm gonna do everything I can, save as little as much. It may take longer, but everyone's path to success, everyone's journey is different. Right. So like just because you're in that situation doesn't mean you can't reach it. So that's just one thing I want to put. Last but not least,
mastery. This one is something that I think we all kind of have felt before. It's just we have an intrinsic desire to get better at whatever we're doing. So mastery is just the desire to have expertise at what you're doing and just continually improve. It's kind of like when you're a kid and I play a lot of sports, so like I always like went to the batting cages because I wanted to be the best batter I could be. So I just keep going and batting, and it was very I was very motivated to do more batting as I got better at batting. So that's what mastery is.
Mm-hmm. And mastery is just something. We'll go deeper into mastery once we read Robert Greene's book on mastery. So I don't want to say too much on that. And to quickly wrap it up, I think like a good way to think about this, to connect all of these, and we're going to put curiosity and passion the same thing, is passion is your intrinsic interest. Purpose is connecting your passion to something greater than yourself. Autonomy is the freedom to pursue your passion and purpose. Mastery is the desire to continually improve the skills needed to pursue your purpose. So I think all of those, that's why he calls it a full stack, because if you can get all of those to align, your drive, the motivation you have, it all makes sense. Everything from what you're curious about, to your passion, to your purpose, to what you're working to improve your skills, all line up, and this will help accelerate and make it easier for you to be motivated to reach that I, whether it's a big I or a little I.
Exactly.